We did it. We did it, Joe. You're gonna be the next president of the United States.
Hey my friends, this is Freddy again, and after 4 days of nail-biting vote counting, Pennsylvania finally saved us 4 more years of headache by electing Joseph Biden as the 46th president of the United States. What does this mean for the world and the USA? And why an old beloved familiar figure could make an unexpected comeback? Let's check it out. Just minutes after the announcement, the internet went crazy with memes about Trump's imminent departure from the White House. And we saw everything, from a cat kicking a Trump statue in the restroom, a football star Biden stopping a potentially winning touchdown run by Trump, to a faraway Pacific Island beach with red crabs dancing in rhythm, and of course Trump being thrown out of the White House by security. So apparently thousands of people couldn't wait to tell the president, "You're fired!" As expected, Trump didn't disappoint us, and he gave us a last great show with a White House speech for the ages, which no other president had dared to give before him. To be clear, he claimed that there has been widespread voter fraud because Biden overtook him in many states where he was leading in the beginning.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
But if you understand what actually happened, this is not that astonishing, because most of the mail-in votes who came in last were Democratic for Biden and counted last, so the effect was to be expected. But it was Trump himself who told his followers not to vote by mail because it could be fraudulent. But Trump turned this whole into a big conspiracy without giving any evidence. And even the international OSCE election observers confirmed that all the polling stations they observed showed no indication of fraud.
Has there been fraud in the United States presidential election?
What we have from our reliable partners, what we heard from both Republican and Democrat observers who were in the polling places as well on election day, we have come across no widespread systemic instances of wrongdoing with this election.
So Trump's strategy is now to get the election in front of the conservative Supreme Court, which he hopes would hand him the wins in 4 extremely close states: Nevada, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia. Kind of like it happened in Florida in 2000 between Bush and Al Gore. However, the chances are extremely low, since the Supreme Court tries to stay out of a political election process as much as possible, especially when there are no substantiated claims. And Trump would have to pay for the recount himself. But we know that Trump is different from any losing president ever before. He's not likely to give a concession speech like all the other former presidential candidates who lost. The only other way to stay in power would be a coup, but the streets haven't responded as violently as Trump expected them to do. And even close associates are telling him to just let it go. And what is a coup without foot soldiers in the streets? CNN actually summarized this whole performance in a pretty weird way.
That is the president of the United States. That is the most powerful person in the world. And we see him like an obese turtle on his back, flailing in the hot sun, realizing his time is over.
A more possible scenario would be something that Trump campaign advisor Brian Lanza already brought on the table: a rerun for president 2024. And when Trump finally steps down, he faces looming legal issues if they reopen the obstruction of justice case, for example, which is a real possibility, as special counsel Robert Mueller told us earlier this year.
You could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office. Yes.
And the more we know about his tax records, the clearer it is that he will be in court a lot now that he's no longer president. But let's stop looking at the losers and focus on the winners. Firstly, the Biden presidency will hopefully bring back a certain integrity to the office that has been lost during the last 4 years. Some of the biggest challenges will definitely be the COVID pandemic and the associated financial crisis. So what does Biden want to do? Well, he has proposed a $700 billion economy revival plan to stimulate the economy through investment in infrastructure projects and research. The money is supposed to come from tax increases on corporations and the wealthiest Americans. But the question still remains how this will be possible with a Republican-controlled Senate, which makes the runoff Senate elections in Georgia in the upcoming days even more crucial. And experts are even skeptical whether the tax increases for the rich will be enough. So, in the end, everybody might have to pay higher taxes. But Biden has been in Congress for over 40 years and is known to have good personal connections to the old men in Congress, like Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell. It is possible that Biden might succeed in convincing the Republicans to a compromise, but nobody can anticipate how much of his plan will be left after the discussions. Moreover, he wants to invest $2 billion in a new climate policy that should make the USA emission-free in 2050. And he wants to introduce free university education for people who earn less than $125,000 a year, a measure that might satisfy some left-leaning Democrats. And last but not least, the question, who is Biden going to choose for all those political positions to fill in? And this is where it can go crazy, because this could be an opportunity for Barack Obama to make a comeback, since the Constitution doesn't prohibit a former president to take a political office. So what about we nominate Barack Obama for Chief of Staff, Michelle Obama for the Department of Education? We could even bring the kids back. What about Malia for Treasury and Sasha for Urban Development? Just an idea. Hashtag bring the Obamas back. And what about another theoretical experiment? What if Biden at some point decides to retire, which is a possibility considering he will be 82 years old if he runs for re-election in 2024? That would mean that Kamala Harris might become the first female African-American Indian president of the United States. But for now, nobody knows what's going to happen. But one thing is for sure, this show isn't over yet, and we will be watching closely.
Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go. Gotta leave you all behind and face the truth.